It's Monday, September 28, 2020. I'm Greg Nibbler, and this is Digital Trends Live. Yes, indeed. Hello, everyone. This is Digital Trends Live. We broadcast live here every weekday, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, bringing you trending tech headlines, news, interviews, discussions, and more. So let's get started with some news right now. A federal judge has blocked a ban on TikTok in the app stores of Apple and Google in the United States, meaning it's still available for download as of now. This is just the latest turn of events in a TikTok conundrum that's been taking place for the last few months, or longer, depending on how you look at it. The basic facts are that Trump signed an executive order demanding that TikTok's parent company ByteDance sell its U.S. interests in the social media app, and if they didn't, then the ban on TikTok from the U.S. stores would have gone into effect on September 20th. That ban was not enforced as a deal was presented that would sell part of the U.S. interests of TikTok to Oracle and Walmart. Then that deal was deemed unsatisfactory as it was, and the ban was reinforced for September 27th. But a federal judge has said that the ban cannot be enforced as it is, with the full reasoning behind the ruling to be released at a later time. Confused? Yeah, it's kind of a wild ride going on here. So where do we stand now? TikTok is fully downloadable in both Apple and Google app stores as negotiations go on regarding the deal that was presented to the U.S. government. As of now, that deal doesn't seem to be satisfactory for either the U.S. government or the Chinese government, which would need to approve of ByteDance selling off the U.S. version of TikTok. Expect more back-and-forth negotiations to happen and more details about the latest ruling to come out, but don't count out a lot more legal maneuvering on all sides, particularly ahead of the U.S. election. For now, though, the 100 million TikTok users in the U.S. can rest easy. Read more about it at digitaltrends.com. Roku has launched two new big hardware updates with a new 2-in-1 Stream Bar and a new Roku Ultra that includes Dolby Atmos and Dolby Vision. For the Stream Bar, the speaker itself will pair with all existing Roku speakers if you already have some. The bar itself is 14 inches wide by 2.4 inches tall, and it's basically a good way to get better sound out of your television while also getting access to the Roku streaming platform. The bar has 4 speakers, including 2 forward-facing drivers that should provide clarity and volume for dialogue on those shows you're streaming. For the other side, the new Roku Ultra has the full package since it's now able to support both Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos. A quick explanation. Dolby Vision is the proprietary HDR format take that Dolby has created to make the image on your screen much more dynamic than it would be otherwise. Dolby Atmos is the top-end sound that Dolby is known for. Atmos was originally available in select theaters, but you can now set it up at home with the right hardware and speakers, and it is a game changer if you have it. The Roku Ultra also has more processing power, 50% longer wireless range, USB 3.0, and Bluetooth support. Roku also announced some software updates with their OS 9.4 that will allow them to support Apple AirPlay 2 and HomeKit. Both hardware devices will be out in mid-October, and the Roku Stream Bar is going to go for $130. The Roku Ultra is going to be $100. Read more about the details of both at digitaltrends.com. It's official. After a couple of weeks of rumors, Amazon has confirmed that Prime Day will kick off at 12 a.m. Pacific Time on Tuesday, October 13th this year. Generally speaking, Amazon's annual event takes place sometime in July, but of course, that was delayed in part this year due to the pandemic and the concern about the stress this kind of an event would have placed on delivering essential items to people. With the announcement now, though, we're learning more about what will take place, including the fact that, like last year, the Prime Day event is actually going to be 2 days. Now, Prime Day originally started in 2015 as a way to celebrate the 20th anniversary of Amazon and as a way to create a holiday for Amazon Prime members. The 2019 Prime Day 2-day event broke a record by selling 175 million items worth about $7.1 billion. One concern is that moving it to October 13th puts it really close to Black Friday and Cyber Monday, another weekend that typically has huge sales on Amazon. According to reports, however, with expected delays in shipping around the holidays, it's a good bet that Prime Day will be a better opportunity to shop for holiday gifts and have them arrive on time. Obviously, there's a lot to figure out over the next couple of weeks, but here at Digital Trends, we go all out to make sure you know what the best deals are. We've already got a number of articles up and guides, and we'll be broadcasting live on Prime Day to help make sure you know about the latest specials going on. Read more about it at digitaltrends.com. The Bay Area-based company Bear Robotics has been working on food service-oriented robots for a few years, but they now have partnered with SoftBank Robotics for a major expansion. So the service robot that they are expanding production on is called Servi, and it's designed to help augment, or in some cases replace, service staff in restaurants and food courts. The big announcement today is the push into hundreds of restaurant chains in Japan in order to help with the vast labor shortage in the country and to help maintain social distancing of people in the time of a pandemic. Each robot has 2 different serving trays, which can be used for bringing food out to a customer or for bussing in between seatings. There is a bin at the bottom for dirty silverware and plates. Servi can be remote controlled by a person, or it can maneuver around autonomously using an onboard LiDAR navigation system. It also comes with a touchpad that could potentially be used for ordering food as well. Servi has been used and tested in a few U.S. markets so far, including some casinos and even some retirement facilities in a few states. With the big push into Japan, though, Bear Robotics is actually anticipating a huge expansion in the U.S. as well. The plan is for a consolidated push into the Pacific Northwest market, and Bear Robotics believes the U.S. will be its leading customer by 2022. There are a number of different robots being tried out in restaurants and the food industry in general, but Servi does seem like it's taking off. They are rentable at $950 a month. You can read more about them at digitaltrends.com. We've got a lot coming up here on the show today, including John Velasquez is going to join us to talk about Amazon's products. We've got Javier Botero from Agents of Chaos, the new documentary on HBO, and he's going to be on here in just a few minutes. But before that, we've got something from Andrew Martinick, who is our mobile editor here at Digital Trends, to talk about that iOS 14 update and whether or not you should do it. So here's Andrew on Digital Trends Live.
Well, it's fall, and that means that you can go to Starbucks and get a pumpkin spice latte or pumpkin spice whatever, but it also means, more importantly, that iOS has a new version. It's iOS 14. I'm Andrew Martinick with Digital Trends, and iOS 14 is probably waiting to download on your phone right now. There are 5 reasons why you should download immediately, and 2 reasons to maybe wait a few weeks before you hit that button. First up is the library. Now, I know that if you've had your phone for months or years, you've accumulated hundreds of apps on 7 or 8 or 9 home screen pages, who knows what. The app library fixes that problem. It organizes all of your apps in the rightmost home screen, and it organizes them into smart folders by category, and then surfaces the right ones that you use the most often. It gets rid of all that clutter on your home screens. No more messing with folders. Here's the big one. The grid of icons on iOS is done. You can pull widgets off from the side left of the home screen into the main home screen and mix and match with your apps and folders. You can pull out widgets that show the weather or the calendar or just a photo slideshow, upcoming trip information. Anything that would normally show up in the widget view can now be displayed right alongside all of your apps. And when third-party developers get to updating their apps, the possibilities are limitless. With iOS 14, the iPhone actually steals a feature from iOS 13 on the iPad. You can have picture-in-picture video. So once you're watching a video in an app or any video in the Safari web browser, you can go home and it'll start playing up in the corner while you do other things. This is particularly important if you have a Max iPhone. You have tons of screen real estate. You can do 2 things at once. It's not quite the same as having split screen, but you can catch up on that YouTube video while you scroll through Twitter if you'd like. Don't you hate when you're in the middle of an intense game or watching a serious video and a phone call comes in and takes over the entire screen? Yeah, apparently Apple did too. iOS 14 gets rid of full screen takeovers like that. So whenever you're interacting with the phone or Siri, you just get a little nudge on the top or the bottom of the screen, and the rest of the content stays active and you can quickly dismiss it if you don't want to deal with it. Apple's Mail and Safari apps are pretty good, but you shouldn't be tied into just using those. iOS 14 lets you choose another browser or another mail app to handle any calls for browser or mail, and you can set these as default across the entire system once you have them downloaded. You don't have to be tied into Apple's ecosystem anymore. Now, unfortunately, I need to temper your expectations of iOS 14 just a little bit with 2 main reasons why you should hold off on downloading. The first is that the widgets are really interesting, but they haven't been updated across the board. There's still tons of widgets from third-party developers, even the big names, that are stuck over in the widgets pane and can't be pulled out onto the home screen. The second one is something that you've probably experienced if you updated from iOS 12 to 13 last year. iOS releases can be pretty buggy at the start. Sometimes it can take an additional point release or 2 or 3 to get up and running stable without some kind of show-stopping bugs, especially with third-party apps. So those are the reasons why you should update your phone to iOS 14, and also a couple reasons why you might want to wait instead. For more coverage of all things iOS 14, be sure to go to digitaltrends.com.
Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler, and again, thanks for joining us wherever you are. We appreciate it. We broadcast live here every weekday, so hit that subscribe button to join the show. We get to talk to pretty amazing people, and right now there's a two-part documentary out on HBO called Agents of Chaos, which chronicles Russian interference into the 2016 U.S. presidential election, and we are joined by producer and co-director of Part 2, Javier Botero. Javier, thank you so much for being here with us. Okay, we've got to check on the audio right now. We are live, so sometimes that happens. Javier, can you hear me right now?
No problem. I can hear you fine. Yeah, you're great.
Oh, okay, great. All right. Well, starting off here, just talking about this documentary. Perfect time for this to come out, obviously. But what a huge piece of work this is. And I wonder if you could just kind of walk us through the origins of this, how you got involved with it, and part of that, I guess, the origination of the creation of this.
Yeah. So I started working on this in early 2017. I'd worked on a few films about cybersecurity, about cyber warfare. I'd worked on a film about the Stuxnet virus called 0 Days, and on a film about WikiLeaks. With both of these were with Alex Gibney, who is the director of Agents of Chaos, our new film. He started working on the topic of Russian interference shortly after Trump's inauguration in January 2017. He was approached by this sort of mysterious source who claimed he had information about what had happened in 2017 and about Trump's relationship with the Kremlin. And so Alex went out, he did this interview. It turned out to be with Glenn Simpson, a former journalist who was involved in the creation of what's become known as the Steele dossier, the packet of information put together by this ex-British spy. And I was pulled in shortly after that. We sort of joined efforts with Lowell Bergman, the legendary journalist and documentarian. And we were working on it for the last 3.5 years since that time, trying to make sense of this massive, crazy story. And this is the product of those efforts.
What I think that's something for all of us too that kind of agree with that. It's just such a massive, crazy story because so many parts of it seem like it's something out of a James Bond movie at some point. But I mean, really, these are things that went on with this. And talking about the research for it, I know in particular that there was a good portion of this that went to Russia to take a look at some of these troll farms. Can you tell us about that and what it was like and what it took to actually get access to something like that?
Yeah, so the troll farms are a significant part of the film, and from the beginning we were trying to sort out how do we understand this interference conceptually, and we ended up in a place where we had these sort of three prongs of interference that we profile in the film. One of them is this collusion narrative that we're all so familiar with. One of it was the hacking. And one of it was the trolling that was done online, the social media disinformation. And all roads on that in 2016 seemed to lead back to this organization in St. Petersburg, Russia, the Internet Research Agency, the troll factory. So early on, we were looking at that. We were trying to figure out how do we figure out what the real story is there and get through this massive disinformation about the place itself. It was not just that this place was creating this haze around the election. It actually created a haze around Russian interference too later on, and a lot of other voices joined in to try to make it seem like to make it hard to understand what this troll factory was. So we spent a lot of time in Russia. I spent over the course of 3 years, I probably ended up spending 4 or 5 months there. But we worked with a team of journalists on the ground as well, Russian investigative journalists who did incredible work, and they knew this place already. One of the things that we discovered getting into it was that Russian journalists had done pretty fantastic work already in piercing this troll factory, and some of that had made its way to the U.S. too, but obviously not broadly enough. Obviously, the government hadn't taken it seriously enough. and we didn't take the warnings that we had ahead of time. But yeah, I mean, it came down to working with great people in Russia generally, is to answer your question.
Well, you mentioned that, whether we took the warnings enough and everything there and being prepared for that. Looking at it, I've got a few more questions for you, but really right now, looking at where we're at ahead of this election, which is now less than, what, I don't know, 5-6 weeks away, almost. It seems crazy it's that soon. Are we prepared now? Have social media platforms done enough to prepare? Are they doing enough? And where do you think we're at with what went on before compared to now?
Yeah, so the question is I mean, I think it's a great question, and the question is what we mean by we. Are we thinking, has the government done enough? Have social media companies done enough? Media organizations? And for me, my immediate answer is no, and not because those entities haven't taken this seriously over the last 3 years. Some of them haven't, some of them have. And to varying degrees, I think, we see Facebook taking down troll networks, several in the last month, a few connected to the Russian government and to actors in 2016. Department of Homeland Security, other parts of the intelligence community, they've been doing work on this, obviously not with a lot of support from the White House, but there are a lot of people who have been trying to do things to secure the elections on the state level. Plenty of hard work has gone into trying to make sure the systems are secure. I don't think quite enough has been done because there hasn't been that high level of support for it from the federal government. You have a White House that wants to deny that there was interference at all in 2016. So how can we get the country around this really hard task of protecting ourselves? But I think the place where we've ended up weakest is that disinformation is the biggest challenge. It's the cheapest attack, and it's the hardest one to know how to deal with. It's the one that I think we're most vulnerable to because of our highly polarized political system right now. And I don't think that's, the social media companies can only do so much to protect us from it. The government, I think, can do little to protect us from it. They have a First Amendment problem there, in that we have these rights that make it very hard for the government to step in. Thankfully, they can't step in and just shut down speech, right? So the responsibility is ours. And I think that, in the last 4 years, we have done little to prepare ourselves for the notion of, say, a sham campaign to claim that election results are delegitimate, something we profile in the film, and that the Russian government was prepared to do in 2016, was prepared to release fake information showing, a fake rigged election by Hillary Clinton, assuming that Hillary Clinton was going to win. And today, it was a weapon that was prepared and was never used. It was a potent one. And today we're even more vulnerable to it. And frankly, I'd be surprised if there wasn't a reprise of that waiting to happen, day after the election, evidence of Joe Biden rigging the election if he were to win, right? Or worse, it's a close election. Nobody knows who wins. It just seems sort of murky. And we're stuck in this place where no one knows if they can trust the election or not. I mean, I don't know that we've done much to fight against that in 4 years' time.
That's, I guess I wish I could say I'm surprised by that, but it does kind of make sense that something like that was planned already and just didn't roll out. Talking about, where we're at right now, and I want to make sure that everybody knows too to go watch this Agents of Chaos. What is one thing that you think people can do? Because you mentioned social media can only do so much, government can only do so much. As just a citizen, as somebody who's online, what is one thing that ordinary people can do to help combat this kind of disinformation?
Yeah, it's a hard challenge, I think, even for individuals, because it comes down to our habits and our behaviors and our mental habits. It comes down to skepticism. It comes down to thinking twice when you see something online, and thinking twice about when who you're talking with. Those are really hard things for us to do. We see information that we want to agree with, and sure, maybe it's a little aggressive, maybe it's a little extreme, but it confirms our biases, and so we want to agree with it. And that these little pieces of disinformation are taking us off in different directions where we can kind of stand and then go to war with other people in our country were being polarized even more than we already were. That was the goal of a lot of the disinformation. It's still the goal of a lot of the disinformation. We show in the film that disinformation wasn't just on one side. It wasn't just, say, towards the right. It was towards the left. It was trying to polarize people and create chaos. And as individuals, we just have to approach what we see online, especially on social media, with a lot of skepticism. And we should take heart in that. I think if we can do that as a society, it can really improve things. There are studies that show in other countries that have dealt with this problem before we did. When people can learn to be more skeptical than they were before about what they see online, and that can have positive effects for the accuracy of what gets shared online, and for the amount of truth in an online conversation. You can kind of push the trolls to the margins. But we just haven't seen, I don't think we've even taken the first steps towards that here, unfortunately.
Well, certainly watching something like Agents of Chaos and getting an understanding of what happened in 2016 is a great way to educate yourself. For everybody out there, 2 different parts of that. It's on HBO, a wonderful documentary, and illuminating for a lot of different reasons on that. I think it's really important leading up to this that we educate ourselves, especially on those things that happen. Javier, I want to say thank you so much for joining us here today. I appreciate you taking some time. Congratulations on this and all the work that you do. It's important. We appreciate you being here on Digital Trends Live.
Please, thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you talking about this topic.
Absolutely. Javier Botero right here on Digital Trends Live. Again, Agents of Chaos there on HBO. Really important conversation to have, and that's just a quick little conversation that we just had right there. But of course, watch the documentary there. We need to take a break. We've got John Velasco joining us next to recap some of that Amazon hardware. So stick around, back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. This is Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler. Thanks for joining us. And 'tis the season for hardware updates. All kinds of companies are announcing their new lineups, and that includes Amazon, which had theirs last week. And to recap that and walk through what all was announced, and there was a lot, we've got our own John Velasco joining us. John, first off, good to see you. Thanks for being here. When it comes to Amazon hardware, there was a lot that was really rolled out with this. So where all do we want to start here? Which one do you want to start with first?
Yeah, we'll talk about just right off the bat, the new Echo speakers. It's obviously their big driver, and they announced not just one, but a bunch. So they took a lot of time on talking about what they're offering. So basically with the new Echoes, the biggest change here is just the new design language. Instead of the flat, small pancake-shaped designs, now they're going with this spherical design. And you see it in this brand new lineup. So the first one here is the regular Echo. This is the 4th generation Echo. It uses pretty much the same sound sound technology that was featured with the Echo Studio. So it will adapt to any room, so it gets the optimal performance. The spherical design is there, obviously, so it's really different. Next one, we have the Echo Dot, which also has that new spherical design, compact size, new design language. It's made out of 50% recycled plastics, 100% post-consumer fabrics, and there's different versions of it. You have the LED clock for $60, as well as the Echo Dot Kids Edition, which you see it has those really cool, fun-looking designs with the tiger and the panda. That retails for $60. The fourth generation regular Dot is $50, and the LED and the kids version, like I said, is $60. The unique thing about the kids version is that it'll actually leverage some kid-friendly content. So Alexa will be able to use to play music, read stories, and you can also make approved phone calls with friends and family. So those are the brand new Echoes. So you have the Amazon Echo 4th generation, the Echo Dot 4th generation, and all the variants. So a lot of speakers in that area.
Yeah, I mean, I do kind of like the look of it compared to that hockey puck style that they had before. Yep. But yeah, it sounds like there's a lot of improvements in there. And going from the Echo Dot speakers, there's also the Echo Show that I know had some big updates too.
Exactly. Yeah. So Amazon just refreshed its new Echo Show speaker. So currently they have the 2nd generation Echo Show. They have the 5-inch version. They have also the 8-inch version, which was announced last year. But this year they're refreshing the 10-inch model again. So this is technically the 3rd generation Amazon Echo Show. And it's different because it has a new design, obviously, 10-inch display. It actually is on a motor. And this is unique about the Echo Show because now it'll actually follow you around the room if you're video conferencing or just doing video phone calls. You could walk around the room. It does it in full 360 degrees. So no matter where you're at in the room, it'll follow you. You have the camera right there too, which is interesting, Greg, because now it kind of is multifunctional because not only is it a smart speaker, smart display, but now it's also a smart security camera. So with the new Alexa Guard, it'll be able to actually detect for motion. If you're not at home, if it senses any motion, you'll get a notification. It'll record those, instances anytime it detects those motions. So you get the best of everything in a package that's $250. So you get that smart speaker, smart display, and the functionality of a security camera in one cohesive device. And this is something I really like to see more in the smart home space because it's multifunctional.
Yeah, I love that integration of the security devices with the regular stuff that Echo and the Echo Show did before. So that's kind of cool seeing it all come together into one package. And going from there, there's also another thing that combined a couple of things into one package, and that is that new smart home device or the new home cam. Can you tell us about this?
Yeah, so Ring, everyone knows Ring. They make the video doorbells, indoor cameras, but this is the craziest and probably the wackiest thing that they've come up with yet, but it's kind of interesting too. It's the Ring Always Home Cam, and this camera is not like any other camera. It looks like they strapped one of their video doorbells onto a drone, so that's essentially what it is. It's a flying camera. I know Ring doesn't like to call it or refer to it as a drone, so it's a flying camera that uses all of Ring's technologies. It's autonomous, so there's nothing on the user's part. So what it does is it's going to patrol the home in the event there's some sort of break-in or when the sensors gets triggered. It will actually go from its dock to that location and in real time show you what's going on. And it does this all on its own. There's nothing that you have to do, as far as piloting it. And it's pretty interesting because, now you have this flying camera around the home that will go to your living room, your bedroom, wherever you want it to go. You have to initially set it up, obviously, where you want it to go. It's worth noting, Greg, that I spoke with Ring, and the only limitation I feel, though, is just going to be battery life. They say it's going to have a runtime of about 5 minutes, and they say it's going to charge, roughly an hour before it's ready to use. It's coming next year. It's not coming out yet, so sometime in 2021, all for $250.
I mean, definitely, I like the idea of it. I don't know if I'd be ready to spend the money on that. I do like the burglar in the video, just how inept he was. And then on top of that, if it's only 5 minutes, couldn't you just kind of wait the thing out? But, there's a lot more into it.
Exactly, yeah. We'll see what else they do.
Well, Well, John, thank you very much. And again, we've got detailed write-ups about all of these products and everything else that Amazon announced, because John will keep you up to date with all of that. And we got a big week of more hardware being announced too. So I'm sure we'll be talking again soon. And everybody check out all the articles at Digital Trends. John, thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Greg. Appreciate it.
John Velasco right there, our smart home editor. He covers all kinds of different products, so anything you want to learn about, definitely go to Digital Trends and check out all of his articles. He's got a team that works very, very well on bringing you all that information. And that's about it for today's show. So coming up on tomorrow's show, we've got Winnie Sun for more financial advice. She is always great. Definitely learn something every time she's on the show. We've got all of our regular news plus guests, and we are here every single day. 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, bringing you these trending tech headlines, news, interviews, discussions, and more. And I mentioned more hardware events. We've got a Google hardware one coming up later on this week. We'll be broadcasting live for that too. So hit subscribe, whatever platform you're on, that way you get the notifications. I'm Greg Nibbler. Oh, wait, one more thing before we go. Happy birthday to Jess Serba. It is Jess's birthday, our booking producer here on Digital Trends. And Sizzler, if you're out there, you can send in some gift cards. All right, thank you, everybody. We'll be back here tomorrow with more Digital Trends Live.